On this week's episode of Film Critics Weekly, we're going to be talking about our picks for the Academy Awards. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Film Critics Weekly right here on the Popcorn Talk Network. So, for the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about all the studios and which movies they're going to be putting in the running for award season this year. But today, we want to do something a little bit differently, and we are going to be talking about our personal picks for the Academy Awards and which movies we want to see in there. So I, of course, am Scott Menzel. I am the founder of the Los Angeles Online Film Critics Society, and joining me today is Michael Sandoval of Muse TV. How are you, Michael?
Doing great. I was a little scared coming into this because there's a lot of good movies out there this year, so I'm really excited to be talking about this.
Yeah, this is a really, really exciting time of year, and I think what makes this really special this year as opposed to so many other years is that there's so many categories that don't have clear winners. I think it's all over the place. People have been moving stuff up and down lists. That's why I wanted to do something instead of trying to do a prediction list this early. Kind of just talk about what movies you saw and what movies connected with you and who you feel fits into the categories.
Right. And I got my list ready last night because it took some time to think about this, so I'm really excited. Let's share this.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna start off. We're gonna do 6 categories today. We're gonna start off with Best Director. Who are the 5 that you personally would pick, and which one would you want to win?
Well, 5, one, Olivia Wilde, because I love Booksmart. Taika Waititi on Jojo Rabbit was very impressive. James Mangold on Ford vs. Ferrari was my number 3. Martin Scorsese for The Irishman. And the 5th one was a little difficult because I still haven't seen a lot of movies, so I had to leave that one out because I'm not sure just yet.
So for me, so out of those, who would you, if you were running the Academy and you had to have a pick, who would you say you would want to pick for that?
I would go with Taika Waititi.
Okay.
It's just, and to explain it, is the fact that Jojo Rabbit was such a unique and different type of film. You were going into it thinking one thing, and then you realize at the end how much different it really was. And it was something that really showed the muscle of Taika Waititi's directing skills.
Yeah, I'm the weirdo this year who actually has mixed feelings about that film. I felt like the second half of the movie was much stronger than the first half. I saw it twice. I liked it a little bit more the second time around. So one thing I will give you a spoiler alert. I will not have Jojo Rabbit on any of my categories so far, even though I will say, for the record, I do see it being nominated when the list officially comes out. I think it's going to have a lot of say in our award ceremony, but I also think at both Golden Globes and the Academy, I think it's going to have a lot of play. That being said, also on my list, I do have Olivia Wilde for Booksmart. I have Martin Scorsese for The Irishman. Those are the 2 that I have that you've mentioned. Other 2 that I want to point out is Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. I want to say Greta Gerwig for Little Women, even though I have not seen that yet. I just feel like, from what I hear so far, and also because I think, again, we need to talk more about female filmmakers, I would like to see her get a nomination. But for me, if I actually had to pick anyone in this category who I would love to see, Trey Edward Schultz for Waves. I know you have not seen this movie yet.
I haven't seen that one yet.
But this guy has only made 3 films, and in the span of about 6 years has able to make from a very small scale independent film where he made it in his house with his family to, going to It Comes at Night, which is in the woods, and it's a horror movie with a much bigger cast, to this film, which I think is so impressive and a must-see on the big screen because he toys around with aspect ratios to kind of tie into the emotions and our feelings of the film. It goes from, super, super wide screen to regular 16:9 to, 4:3, and then it kind of spans back out as the events are unfolding building in the film. He does this cool thing with this camera where like it spins around and things of that nature. Really unique stuff that I haven't seen in a lot of films yet. And I know he's more of an unknown director still. He probably will get some love at the Independent Spirit Awards, but if I was going to pick someone in this category right now, it would probably be him first, and then Olivia Wilde would be a very close second because I loved all the things that she did with her film, Booksmart.
Yeah, and that's the thing like with me too with Booksmart. Olivia Wilde, for a first-time director, impressed me so much because it was like so good. But I think the one thing that may hurt it is the fact that it came out in the summer and it's so packed in the fall that she may get overlooked, which is sad because I think she'll get some love at the Film Independent, the Spirit Awards. She will get love there. She will get a lot of love in like the Golden Globes. But the Oscars, since it's so packed in the fall and the way their mind process is, that's what's sad about it. Sometimes I think the ones that always come out at the end of the year always seem to do better than the ones that are in the middle and the beginning, but you never know. It changes every year. So
yeah, and I mean the thing that also concerned me about this, and you probably know about this, but Booksmart was released under Annapurna, and Annapurna no longer exists on its own. It's now part of UA releasing. The good thing about that is that they have had a few decent hits. You know, God, the Anne Hathaway movie with Rebel Wilson. I can't believe I can't.
Oh, the one that was like Dirty Rotten Scoundrels,
that one.
With females. Yes,
that one actually did much better than they expected. The Addams Family did fairly well for them as well. So hopefully, since they only really have Booksmart to push, maybe they can get together a little bit of money to help push this. I know the screenings came out. They're doing a big push on Saturday here in LA for the movie, and then they have some other screenings that they set up. But I feel what you're saying. I feel like everyone in the industry loved Booksmart. I feel like this was the movie that everyone got behind this year. There's been quite a few of those actually. Like I feel like Farewell's another one like that. But people have been really pushing for Olivia, and I hope UA gives this movie a good push.
Right. Like I say, it's always who has the best marketing budget in order to push it to get it in front of the most eyes.
The answer is Netflix.
Yes.
The answer is Netflix.
Exactly.
Moving on to Best Supporting Actress. Who do you have as your 5 picks for this?
You know what? I didn't go with 5 picks on this one.
Okay.
I have one.
Okay.
And it's Zhao Shuzian from The Farewell.
Okay.
She stood out to me out of everybody, even Awkwafina or anybody else on that film really stood out, even though she is a supporting actress, but she really stood out in that movie and really made it very enjoyable for me.
That's a good pick. I mean, you know, I think Farewell is a fascinating film because I think you take away all of the secondary actors, the main actress, you know, Awkwafina, would not be as strong if it wasn't for everyone else.
Exactly.
So it's weird because I don't have her in this list, and I almost wonder because of the fact that I'm so familiar with Awkwafina's name, and I think we're going to see this play out a lot award season, where the movie will probably get, you know, we hear Lulu Wang for director, and we've heard a lot of conversation about that, and we hear Awkwafina.
Right.
But because this is actually like, you know, Chinese, Japanese actors in this movie, and people can't say their names like myself, you know, there's this hesitance of like being able to like nominate these people, and I feel bad because I do agree with you. I think she's really great in the film, and she kind of takes it to the next level.
And I think with the success of Crazy Rich Asians and other Japanese, Chinese, and Asian films, that I think the Academy is going to say, okay, let's look at it as what it is. Hopefully, I'm praying that this is what it is. It's by its merit.
Yeah.
And because alone, forget about who's in it. This is a really good film.
Yeah.
Really good film, and it's something that everybody should go out and watch while you have the chance, because films this special don't come around that often anymore.
I want to, you know, it's funny you mentioned that. So there's 2 movies this year. Farewell being one of them, the other being Parasite, where you have the film and it's subtitled, and you don't mind reading the subtitles and you feel engaged and you're emotionally connected and you're laughing, that's special.
Yeah.
Because I feel like whenever you mention foreign film or something with subtitles, there's always like this wall that comes up with people. I gotta read. I don't want to do that. Screw that. You know, there's a very small marketplace for foreign film and movies with subtitles. And to have these two movies have that incredible breakout, I mean, Parasite is doing so well for Neon. I don't think Neon could have, gotten luckier with this movie. But Farewell, also for A24, this is talking about a movie that started getting hype all the way back at Sundance, came out in June, and we're still talking about it now. I feel like we're talking about Farewell more than we're talking about Booksmart, even though it started earlier in its push.
Right. And to go on the case, everybody's been talking about Parasite.
Oh,
it's so much buzz, and everybody that I've seen, critics, non-critics, have been talking about this film. There's a lot of word of mouth. It's just like baseball. Whoever's hot in September and they're on a winning streak usually win the World Series. So you never know, because whoever's the hottest at the end of the year could push them into January and February and wind up with some good awards.
And what's interesting about this too, for me, is that I don't think anyone has any shadow of a doubt that Parasite, and I think this is probably the most easiest category to predict, foreign language film winner will be Parasite. I think almost every person would agree on that. But I do think it'll be interesting because Neon is a much smaller company, and obviously they don't have as much money to push. They're relying on word of mouth. But I will find it so funny if somehow this movie winds up getting Best Picture with probably 1/6 the marketing push of Roma, which they pushed, like Netflix pushed so hard last year and spent $40 million on a campaign. Neon doesn't have that to do that for Parasite. But it seems like at this time last year when everyone was talking about Roma, I happily said to everyone, I'm like, it's getting foreign language picture. Don't worry about that. But when it comes to Best Picture, it doesn't have it.
Right.
But I kind of feel like Parasite might.
Yeah, I agree.
So, my picks for this category, Laura Dern for Marriage Story, Taylor Russell for Waves, Margot Robbie for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Jennifer Lopez for Hustlers, and again, I have not seen Little Women, but I really loved her in Midsommar, so I'm going to go with Florence Pugh, Florence Plug, for Little Women. Again, I've been following the early buzz on this. I don't get to see this movie for another couple of weeks, but this girl is going places in Hollywood, and I think that Little Women is we've seen so many adaptations about this, but what I heard that as Greta has done with it, especially in the second half of the movie, is that it turns the classic tale on its head, and it's really rewarding. So this is the one movie you're going to hear me say throughout this list that I have not seen, but the word of mouth and kind of like knowing the actors that are in it, I feel like they're going to get in. And I feel like it's rightfully so. Even if I don't love the movie as a whole, I see that these actors are strong, and I know what their work is. So if I was going to pick, I think Laura Dern has this on lockdown right now. I really do. She's so good in Marriage Story. That film as a whole is so relatable. I think everyone could relate to it, whether you've ever been in a relation, like a marriage or just a long-term relationship. Even someone who's young and has fallen out of love for the first time. I think it just has something for everyone, and because it deals with having a child and how other people are involved. It's a full meal. I said this about Motherless Brooklyn, also earlier today was, there's a lot to digest with the movie. It has so many layers to it. It's not just, a married couple fighting and arguing. It's like how the people in their lives play a role into what happens with the marriage and the kids and lawyers and everything. And it's just really powerful stuff. And I think Laura Dern, this is probably some of the best work she's done in the past couple of years.
I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Unfortunately, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So any studio out there who wants to send me to go see your movies and you want to be on this list, please invite me, because there's I've read about it, I've heard about it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, and everybody is talking Laura Dern.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing, like, I really want to see what she does in this movie. It's intriguing me now.
Yeah, you should definitely see it. I mean, I think if you go on the Netflix Guilds, there's a whole bunch of screenings listed, and you can go through there.
Cool.
But how about for Best Supporting Actor?
Best Supporting Actor. Well, we have the 5, but, like, let's be honest here. We could talk 5, but it's going to be one of only 2 people.
Yes.
Joe Pesci or Al Pacino.
Interesting.
Either one for The Irishman, because I'm sorry, Joe Pesci was in this film amazing.
Yeah.
He really supported Robert De Niro's character better than, and Al Pacino better than everything, because I was just sitting there like, seeing Joe Pesci on the screen and his acting made me realize, like, oh shoot, I really miss seeing this type of film, which I don't say that often. But I really loved it. And Al Pacino as Hoffa, wow, did he just, like, somebody threw him a curveball and he hit a home run on that one.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, it's kind of funny because, who I want to see, I want to see Sterling K. Brown. I want to see Brad Pitt. I want to see Al Pacino. But to me, it comes down to really Joe Pesci and Tom Hanks. I know you haven't seen Beautiful Day.
No, not yet.
And I'm kind of mixed on that movie as a whole. Like I'm a big Mr. Rogers fan. I grew up watching it. I think he is a remarkable voice and like taught people how to be kind to one another, but also like hear people out, listen to people with differences. And this was like my most anticipated film of the year. Like when they announced this and Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers, it's like, oh my God, like, heaven came down and whatever. I just like, I couldn't wait for this freaking movie. And when I was at Toronto, I actually skipped a couple screenings in order to make sure that I went to the first screening of this movie because I wanted to see it so badly. And Tom Hanks is just phenomenal in the film. I mean, he becomes Mr. Rogers. He must have studied those tapes and his mannerisms. I mean, just like the way like he moves his hand or just certain elements of it, he just really becomes this character. And it is such a great, because he's America's sweetheart as it is, and then when you have him playing someone else who could do no wrong, it's great. But they show like a little bit of the darker side of Mr. Rogers in this film. Again, like he's not going off punching people or anything, but certain little things like he would do, like playing a piano a certain way, and these tough situations that he was put in. But he's great in the film. But then I saw Joe Pesci in The Irishman, and I said to myself, here's Joe Pesci coming back, but doing something that he also hasn't done before. He's being not the hothead. He's being the calm, cool, and collected guy.
Exactly.
Which we don't expect from Joe Pesci. And yet, he's so great in it. And so, to me, I this is the one category where, like, if you ask me to pick, I don't know. I mean, those are the two that I would go for. I literally would have to probably flip a coin and just go what's best, whatever it comes up with, because they're so good.
And that's the one thing, like, we always have to warn everybody who's watching today, with all the categories, with the way the studios are putting Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Actor, and where they're going to place them for these films. Please keep in mind that this is our opinion. And what the Academy
100%.
does and what's going to happen is going to be very interesting when they put them on it, because we've already heard a lot of rumblings about who's going to get placed for what and everything.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It's funny because it'll constantly change. With the way Hollywood works nowadays, with the way film Twitter works and everything, there could be like 3 or 4 more controversies between now and award season that'll take some of these people completely out of there. I mean, it has happened all the time now. There was, you just never know. You never know. I mean, it's just something is always coming up now.
Yeah, and the reason why I bring it up for everybody is the fact that you picked Tom Hanks as Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
He may be winding up at best. They may put him as Best Actor, even though he really is a supporting. So it's like, because it's Tom Hanks.
Right.
So.
And but I think that would be silly on their part, because I think that Best Actor category is so crowded right now.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's so crowded, and it would be foolish on them. But they did it with Ford versus Ferrari. Don't understand that.
Exactly.
I don't understand that. Don't understand that, but we'll talk about that later. So, Best Actress, who do you have for your picks?
Best Actress, well, like with everything that I've done, I've only picked one.
Okay.
Because if there's a standout what's the point of me talking about anybody else? Renee Zellweger in Judy.
Interesting.
She really encapsulated who Judy Garland was. And I was reluctant about her being in the role and playing Judy Garland. But when I saw the film, I was like, oh, wow, she really is Judy Garland. From all the tapes that you see in the past, because I wasn't born around that time when she was like the biggest star, one of the biggest stars in the world. And you see those tapes and you see what Renee Zellweger did to portray Judy Garland. I was just blown away. I thought I was like right then and there. Best actress.
It's funny because this year has been the year where I feel like the performances have really elevated a movie. Like where a movie has been very, very so-so. Harriet is a good example of this. I kind of feel Judy's an example of this. Yeah. And it's weird because I'm honestly going to go out on the ropes and say this too. After thinking about Bombshell more and more, like I do feel like it's a very important film for like Time's Up and Me Too generation. I feel like it's the quintessential film for this time period. But when you look and take apart the film, there's problems there where I feel like it takes away from, how good the movie should be. But like Charlize Theron in that movie to me is a very major player. And even though I don't think the movie is up to her caliber of performance, she's one of the people who I would pick for that. I'm going to say Awkwafina as well. I'm going to say Scarlett again for Marriage Story. Again, Little Women just getting some love from me. Saoirse Ronan for her work in that. And then I would say Renee is the one that the industry wants. The industry really wants Renee. I don't know if the industry is going to give it to her because she has been nominated many times before. She has gotten a lot of praise for roles over the years. And I think this might be a situation because there's so many actors and actresses in okay movies where their performances are so great that there's a lot to pick from this year. So, I mean, that might hurt her. Yeah,
and that's the one thing, like, with the body, like I was telling you with Judy. The movie has issues. Yeah. It's not the best of movies, but she does do very well in the film, and I was looking at it as her actressing, her being an actress and what her performance was like, and kind of disregard the film. Yeah. Because it's like, you can't really blame the performance if the script was terrible, but she used what she got. Yeah. And delivered. So that's always the way I look at any type of film. And that's the one thing, especially when it comes to award season categories, when it's an individual. I look at it as the individual. It is a hard year. Yeah. I definitely agree with it. That was probably my biggest standout. Yeah. For me. Okay. So that's why I was kind of like, that's why I say this was a very difficult year to be able to just say, hey, this, and this. But this one kind of stuck in my brain. Okay. So it's tough.
Good. I think for me right now, I'm actually going to go either with Scarlett or Charlize. I think because of the fact that Charlize actually had to become Megyn Kelly. Not only does she look like her, but also the voice. It doesn't sound like Charlize Theron. I think I'm going to give her a little bit of a leg up on this for my pick. Best actor.
Well, that one's another crowded category because we don't know who's going to be thrown into the best actor category like Tom Hanks and everybody else. So we already know two: Christian Bale, Matt Damon. Yeah. Which it's hard for me to put both of them as best actor, but there we go. Yeah. Robert De Niro. You know he's going to get something. There's no way he's not going to be talked about. Yeah. After that, the next two, that's a toss-up. Yeah. For me, that's a toss-up. It could be anybody. Because it could be Tom Hanks. It could be, because they may throw him into that type of role. It's very... I haven't made a decision on that one yet because I haven't seen whatever's coming out from today on. Still haven't seen it, so it's really hard for me to put that. But I have a tie on this one. It's only going to be either one or the two. Okay. I have Christian Bale for Ford versus Ferrari because I loved his performance in the movie. And Robert De Niro for The Irishman, mostly because of a sympathetic pick. Because I think the sympathy of the fact that Robert De Niro, and to me... We had talked about this after the film of The Irishman. Yeah. To me, it feels like this is the it felt like the end of this type of film for Martin Scorsese. And Robert De Niro is not getting any younger. He does deliver a good performance, but is it as good as everybody else? I don't know, but it's still a strong performance. So that's where I'm like, De Niro's. If he wins, I'm not feeling bad.
Yeah.
To Christian Bale's point on Ford versus Ferrari, I thought his role was one. It's not only pivotal to the film. He also played it like you see the video, like another one. You see the footage from him from the original, the real person, and you see what he delivered, and he took it to a whole nother level. And he really drives the story, and it's much as they're trying to put Matt Damon as a best actor.
I know.
Matt Damon was a great supporting to Christian Bale. But Christian Bale, once again, it's like it's hard. When you give him a good script and a good role, he will deliver.
Yeah. I think that's what makes Christian Bale such a wonderful actor is the fact that he's so much into the craft of it. And then, he's the guy who's like, you remember The Machinist where he like lost all the weight. It's just crazy. And you think even in Batman or Patrick Bateman and American Psycho, like he just becomes these people. And he's no stranger to playing characters that are not very likable. And I mean, this Ken Miles in this movie, he's not a very likable guy in the beginning of the film. And then as the movie goes on, you like him more and more because he's so, I don't know, he's so good at what he does, right? He knows what he's talking about. He's not some guy who's all about, he has his own ego, but his ego is earned because he actually knows the skills. He has the skills. And he shows up like the Ford Motor Company and says like, this is why you can't win. And I loved him in this movie. This movie, I'm so like, it's an entertaining, fun movie. Again, another movie where like, I liked it more than say like a Judy, but still, I don't know if it's like an awards movie as a whole, but like his performance and like sound mixing and sound design, that stuff is like for sure like Oscar stuff. But he's great. To me, I can't believe you didn't say this, but this is the hardest category right now.
It is. It really is.
This is the hardest because like I know you haven't seen some of these movies, but like Taron Egerton, I don't want people to forget about him.
I saw that
from Rocket Man.
Yes.
I don't want people to forget. Jonathan Pryce for the Two Popes, a movie that I've been championing because I never thought in my day that I would be championing a movie about religion and things of that nature, but Jonathan Pryce is so damn good in this movie. Of course, my buddy Calvin Harrison Jr., who you can just take waves, you can take loose. I don't care which movie he gets nominated for. I just want him to get nominated because his performances in both those movies are fantastic. Adam Driver, who, for the record, I was not the biggest Adam Driver fan for a very long time. When he was first on his rise and people were like girls and all that stuff, I was like, I don't like this guy. I don't care. But over the last couple of years, seeing him kind of take on all these different types of performances, especially this year between The Dead Don't Die, doing The Report, and now in Marriage Story, this is like just shows his range. And we didn't even see him in the last Star Wars movies yet. So I'm really excited. But to me, there is no question about this category. Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix owns this category. And, I mean, it's funny because very rarely do you see a lot of celebrities come out and start, voicing their opinions on who should win. I mean, Jessica Chastain came out yesterday and she even won as the Joker for Halloween. There is no better performance this year. I'm sorry.
Like, I would agree with you any other year.
Yeah.
But also, too, with the topic, I think Joaquin Phoenix just nailed that role.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling, knowing the Academy and knowing how they are, you will have two different Best Actors in the Golden Globes and the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix will win a Golden Globe for Best Actor. For the Academy Awards, it will be somebody else because I don't think because of the subject material.
Risky, right?
Yeah, too risky. And that's the reason why I played a safe pick.
Yeah.
Like, I could say Joaquin Phoenix, but I don't know. With the way the Academy sometimes runs, it's hard for me to say.
You go with De Niro. I know what you were saying with De Niro because he's a legend. He's an icon. You get Scorsese in there. But I don't want it to be the Irishman show either, right? Like,
exactly.
Award shows suck when it's the same movie. And it's why at the LAOFCS, I always I put in this filter whenever we vote. I always say this, and I post it in the group, and I say, spread the wealth. Because wouldn't a show be so much more interesting if, like, you don't, as much as I love Waves, I don't want Waves to walk around away with 10 awards.
Right.
You know, if it wins 1 or 2, good. You know, let Irishman win 1 or 2. That's what I'm always worried about when you have, like, icons. Like, a lot of people are talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood too. Again, I really enjoyed that movie. I see how Leo could be nominated. I see how Brad can be nominated. I see how Quentin can be nominated. I see how the movie can be nominated. But I don't want all those awards for that movie. Like, give it one where you feel like it's the strongest. And I think this is the problem with voters in general, is that you have to really look at your category and you say, like, all right, so I really like Joker, you know, but where in Joker do I feel like it's the strongest? Do I think it's direction? Do I think it's the score? Where do I feel is the strongest? And that's where I think you put your vote. And if you can't break up just in one vote, maybe do 2. You know, and 3 at the most. I feel like there's certain people who vote like just straight, like they love a movie and they're just like, oh, okay, that should get everything. And it's like, no, like you have to analyze movies. It's your job. You should be looking at stuff and actually making picks.
Exactly. And then with Adam Driver with the report, I get to see that on Saturday with a Q&A with Adam Driver. So if you're watching, make sure I am bribable. No, I mean, let's be honest. It's like, I love his acting.
Yeah.
I think he's really shown it, especially with last year with Black Klansman.
Yeah.
I thought he was really good in that film. Whereas with Star Wars, like my best friend said, put the mask back on.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
But let's be honest here. He is a great actor, and you could see that he's growing. And he loves seeing that growth in an actor. So it is a very tough category, but let's see. I guess we got one more category.
Quick question before you guys move on. This is Jeff in the booth. I haven't seen it yet, and I'm wondering if you guys have seen the new Safdie movie, Uncut Gems.
Oh, yes.
I've heard Sandler might sneak into the category, and I don't know if you have thoughts on that or not.
He's he's the black sheep right now, right? I feel like a lot of people are pushing for him again. He's kind of getting the Joaquin Phoenix treatment, where I feel like people are kind of mixed on that movie, where I feel like the reaction has been either very positive or kind of negative. I know even people in our organization who have seen it. I know Nestor was not a fan of Uncut Gems at all. Him and his wife walked out of it and they were like, nope. Ashley did not like it. But Sandler is great in the movie. And I mean, I guess the question, Jeff, becomes is like, how many comeback stories can we have this year?
It's true, because people are talking about Eddie too for Dolomite.
Eddie, yeah.
I'm wondering if it's going to be the battle of the disgraced SNL alum this year, but we'll see.
Eddie's gonna, Eddie's in good company over at the Golden Globes. I think he's gonna get a nomination for sure. He might even win over there because, again, what you were talking about. Not only does he have the Saturday Night Live thing going for him, but he also has that iconic like comedic presence that people love, and this is the best he's been since like the 90s.
Right. And that's the one thing with Uncut Gems. Good thing you brought that up, is the fact that from people who usually just normal people who go to the movies, not us critics. Right. When they see the trailer, I've overheard people saying that I'm kind of interested in seeing. This is not your normal Adam Sandler. I kind of want to go see that film. And I've been hearing a lot of buzz walking out of theaters and hearing and what people were saying about that trailer. So it's I'm curious to see when it's finally released what happens.
Yeah, I mean A24 has a lot on their plate this year, and that's kind of like the last one for this year to push out. But they had such great success with Good Time, and I don't think Uncut Gems is as good as Good Time. I mean, that was a really well-crafted film where I feel like there's elements of this movie that are really strong, but it's really Sandler holding the film together. Like, I love Idina Menzel, but like I feel like she's just a character in this movie. I don't feel like she's given enough, but Sandler is just so damn good, and it's so different. He may sneak in there, Jeff. I don't know. He may sneak in.
I haven't seen it. I'm really looking forward to it. I love Good Time. So
yeah, it's so good.
I'll check it out. Thanks, guys. Just wondering your thoughts on that. Yep.
Best Picture. Did you only pick one for this, or do you have a bunch? Okay, go for it.
We're gonna start with Star. No, just kidding.
We're gonna start off with Star Wars.
No.
Get the hell out of here.
No. Just a joke. there's so many good films this year
Yeah.
that I've been very, very happy with. I mean, Ford versus Ferrari's on my list. The Irishman's on my list. Rocket Man is something that I've seen and is on my list because I thought it was a great story. I'm looking for. I would throw the report
Yep.
once from all the buzz, and once I see it on Saturday, that may fall in there. Won't You Be My Neighbor maybe fall in there. So there's a lot of good picks. Joker, definitely.
Yeah.
Let me give you two because I've been
Okay.
thinking about this enough.
Okay.
My personal pick to win Best Picture. Actually, let's do three. Start off with what I think should win.
Okay.
I think Joker should win.
Okay.
I liked it. It was a great film. Pulled me in from beginning to end.
I agree.
Second, The Irishman. I think that's because of Scorsese, so it's a good shot that he's going to get something. And I think the movie was really, even though it is kind of clunky at the end, it's a really good film. And it brings you back to the days of this type of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Third, and this is just the really personal favorite because I love car movies, is Ford versus Ferrari. Because there's something about this film that, and knowing Carol, hearing the stories of Carol Shelby, knowing what happened, and my dad being in the automotive industry and working in there, and hearing the stories of it, just kind of like, and then seeing the movie. It was loosely based, but it was very spot on as well to what the whole battle was and what it was between Ford and Ferrari, America versus Italy. And at that time, who could be the king, the automaker king? And it's really, and for Shelby being an outsider, it's that underdog story that we all go through as running a business, and literally that the small guy is the one who made Ford back again and really gave it a name again. So out of those three films, I would say Joker.
Okay.
We know I wouldn't be shocked if it is The Irishman, but personally, I'd love Ford versus Ferrari.
Okay. All right. So this is probably the second hardest category because I really do think that the actor category is the hardest.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, there's no other pick but Joaquin for that. But I like looking at these names and I'm kind of like, I want all of them to win. Best Picture, I think, is like more of a kind of a crapshoot of like where the Academy is going to go. Because I think there's maybe like 5 films that I feel really should be in there. One of which I have not brought up at all yet, which is Knives Out. I think the Academy it might get a nomination, but no way in freaking hell is it going to win. But like, it would be so nice to actually have something that's like a comedy mystery whodunit to like win. Something that's different and actually will probably age well. And, I think this movie's better than Clue. I know like everyone uses that as like some kind of like perfect example of like a mystery comedy, but I think Knives Out is better than Clue. And you know how much people talk about Clue. So like, it's funny if you had something like this, which you have an all-star cast and everyone, has something to do in the movie. I think, this would be a very interesting choice for the Academy.
Well, and to echo that, Scott, Gosford Park got a ton of noms when it came out. It was Best Picture nominated, it was Altman's. That's probably partly why.
Right.
Sometimes the Academy likes these sort of throwback ensemble Agatha Christie things, especially when they're done in a fresh way. So I think it's totally a reasonable pitch.
Cool. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I would love to. Like I said, I do think it's going to get a nomination. I just don't know if it's going to get a win. I think Joker is the movie that they need to win. If we had to like talk about it, because there's been so much hype and so much buzz about this movie, and people are like all across the board on this movie. There's people who think it's okay. There's people who hate it. There's people who absolutely love it. People have seen this movie multiple times. It has something to say, if you decide to look for it. There's a lot of messages that you can take away. Some people argue like it doesn't have anything to say. I don't know what movie those people have watched because I feel like there's a lot to take away from this movie. It also, I think, would give the Academy the biggest push and the ratings jump too that it would probably need. Irishman is very much, as you said, the traditional pick easy answer. And Parasite, I think, is that little foreign film that could. That's definitely going to be nominated, and it'd be interesting to see if it wins. And then I think Marriage Story is also of the 5. Those were like ones that I'd be thinking are a sure bet. In terms of like the other ones, like the other whatever, if they go 3 to 5 more, it's all over the place. I mean, I've seen the reaction that people have gotten from Rocket Man seeing at Paramount recently. Again, like people really love that film, and they have Elton John behind it. You know, people love him. Bombshell's very timely, very important. I've been following the news the last couple of weeks. A lot of people have been coming out about like the NDAs and how they're not able to speak up, so it's very relevant to now. Once Upon a Time, and Hollywood's an underdog, and Hollywood loves movies about themselves. You know, but it's hard to say. I mean, Two Popes has 2 legendary actors in it. It's hard to say like what the categories are going to be, like which movie is going to fit into this category. But to me, I'm actually in a weird way, I'm kind of minus my Knives Out swapping for your Ford versus Ferrari. I think that's how I feel. Like I think that it should be a Joker, Knives Out, or Irishman are the ones that should be in top consideration.
Yeah, and
right
especially, and I agree with you in that with the Joker and everything, because of the fact that the one thing that there is a disconnect between the normal viewing audience and the Academy, and sometimes that's the reason why a lot of people don't watch the Academy Awards. It's really not the length of the show.
No, it's not.
It's the fact that a lot of people, one, you got to remember, not every film goes into every place of the country. But something like Joker or one of the big ones, everybody's seen it. So when you don't see a picture that you've seen win, and you think of the percentages, it's pretty high, and they don't win, it pulls people away from an award show, because they want to see some of the things that they've seen and feel and built a connection with win. I want to see Joker win. I think it's an important statement, especially with what's going on. It does have a lot of messages.
Yeah.
Especially with everything, like I can't stress it enough, with what's going on nowadays.
Yeah.
It does say a lot. It should win. Will the Academy give it to them?
It's too risky.
It's too risky.
Risky.
That's the sad part. It shouldn't be about what's our image towards the Academy or what the people who vote. It's about what deserves it. That's why I say Irishman, chances are probably going to be the easy choice, the perfect choice. Everybody's going to fall for it. But if they decided to say, we're going to, as a voting committee, we're going to, we really do think this film is really good. We're going to vote for it, and let's see what it does.
The thing that's very interesting about The Irishman is that as much as I deeply enjoy this film, and it's a throwback to, it's like Mean Streets and Goodfellas. It's got those vibes and that energy to it. It's nothing really new. Besides the de-aging technology being in the film, the story is very much classic Scorsese. We've seen it before. There's nothing. He's not taking really many risks with it. It's less violent than most of his other films. It's longer than most of his other films. But at the end of the day, it's the safe bet. But the weird thing is that as many people that I know, and we all there was a group of us at LAOFCS who went to go see this movie together. I don't think anyone came out of this movie saying that it was their favorite movie of the year. I don't think there's a single person who I talked to who's like, that is my movie. Everyone said it's good. It's one of the best, but no one came out and said it was the best. Yeah. And it'll be interesting if a movie that almost everyone agrees is one of the best ends up becoming the best because it's the easy way to go.
Right. And this is the one thing that I don't know if you noticed during our screening. And this is one thing that I really hate when you go to a movie screening and there's a glitch in the projection.
Yeah.
And I saw 2 glitches in the projection during the whole film. And I'm like, you're trying to sell this film on me. You're trying to make sure that I give it a good review. And you present it with 2 glitches in the presentation. Just because I don't know what the main house looked like.
Yeah.
But even no matter what house you're watching that movie, it should be pristine.
Right.
And that's where I kind of was just kind of like, interesting. It left a bad taste in my mouth because you want this award to be, you want us to give it a high praise. You want us to give us awards, but you show me a print that has 2 glitches, and I know they weren't running off a film.
No.
But it looked like a like when you used to.
Yeah.
Back in the day, kids, they used to use film in a movie theater, and you used to have to, when you put, sometimes the rolls will come in 3 different cans, and you would have to put tape on the film to connect them to the full film. History lesson right now.
Yeah.
And that's what it looked like. And
yeah.
I'm like,
you're talking about that scene with De Niro, right, sitting there on the chair, and like they literally like there was like a really bad edit. Yep.
Yeah. And I was just like, you want this to be for award consideration. You know, in every one of the theaters, and I hope it was in the other ones either, that there's people who are not only who nominated it, who are writing about it, who like us, who we have our award show, we give out awards on our award show, and you show me a cut like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised too, just from the fact that they made such a big deal out of it, and they flew, Netflix flew people out from New York and all over the country. Right. I'm shocked that they didn't have someone test that and make sure that it was perfect.
Exactly. And that kind of left, as much as I love the film, it reminded me of Goodfellas and Casino.
Yeah.
Same pacing. But when it comes to an award season and you have me, like everybody judges us on what we do.
Yeah.
And the quality of work that we do. I put that same judgment towards the film, towards Netflix. If you're going to present something, and this is something that you really want to push out there, first time Scorsese's working with you, give me the best cut.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sitting here for 3.5 hours on a seat that's really, really bad. Give me the best cut.
I agree. I mean, there's no doubt in that. I've noticed that too. I thought I was crazy. I thought I was the only one who noticed that.
Yeah. No, I noticed it. Other people didn't notice it. Well, one person I talked to didn't notice it, but I noticed it right off the bat. And I'm one of those observant moviegoers who watches everything, who really looks at every detail.
So let me ask you this question, and I'm glad I can actually talk about this freely. How do you feel about the lack of people of color besides Asian community in the nominations this year, besides Jennifer Lopez playing a stripper, by the way?
Well, let's be honest here. And this is something that has bothered me for a long time because I experience it as a journalist. Every time we go to a red carpet, they look at Muse TV, and automatically they look at me and say, "Oh, are you a Spanish outlet?" I'm like, just because of the way I look? I always believe that it should, and this is something I grew up with, growing up with my mom, who was unfortunately has passed away, but left me a lot of life skills. It's about always look at the work. Shouldn't matter about who you are, what color you are, what type of person you are, who you love. None of that should matter. It should be, if you do the best work, you should be nominated. And if somebody of color does the best work, they should be recognized for that. It shouldn't be about a good old boys network, which, coming from where I started at, I was in journalism, then I went to pro sports, and pro sports is a good old boys network, especially the NFL. But if you see that, it's something that we shouldn't even be talking about this. There's so many great actors, great directors, great producers who deserve some recognition, but it all depends on who gets the push.
Yeah.
And who they're going to push. Because, you could have a great Diego Luna film. He should be nominated for Best Actor for something. But if they don't push it in the right way, or give it to enough theaters, or show it to enough people who have a decision, it's not going to be seen. And I think that's where the problems are more on top, trickle down, than anything else, because of the fact that I believe if they deserve to direct a film, and you think they should because they have a proven work, you should give them that film and give them and let them see and be behind it. Don't just say, "Oh, yeah, we got a Latino director." And luckily enough, for the last 3 years, we've had Latino directors win Best Picture, which is awesome, and it helps influence other people.
Right.
Because I know I'm long-winded in this, but growing up, I was born in 1975. I'm not scared to share my age. Growing up in 1975, there wasn't really much I could see as Latino actors or Latino directors. I mean, Ricardo Montalban, I remember him in Fantasy Island and Star Trek as Khan, and Edward James Olmos.
Right.
When it comes to directors and producers, there wasn't really that many, and it's the same thing like in our realm in journalism. My idol was Walter Cronkite and Dan Rather and all these guys who were not
Right.
of color.
Yeah.
Now it's a different story, and I think you're seeing kids now who see Guillermo del Toro and say, I can do that.
Yeah.
It's about giving people opportunities. If you could do the job, and that's the one thing, it should be if you could do the job, not who you know.
Yes.
If you could do the job, you should get the role. You should get the directing job. And another thing, too, we need more producers of color and more studio heads of color. If you get more studio heads of color, more producers of color, really bring diversity, because this is the one thing, like I always say, I go to Fox Television in the publicity department, all bunch of different people.
Yeah.
And I don't see that a lot in different studios. I really don't. You go to there, and I'm like, wow, this is really diverse in their staffing and everything. You don't see that in a lot of different studios. You see maybe one African-American, one Asian, one Latino, and the rest of them are all young girls who are white.
Yeah.
And it's like when you bring more diversity into some place and into a workplace, you'll see change naturally occur.
Yeah.
And I don't know what your take is.
No, we know we got to wrap real quick, but
Yeah.
I did want to just comment on this real quick. You hit upon something that I strongly believe in, and that is reward people who know what they're doing and hard work. If a white guy is not good at a job, or if a white guy fails at his job, he shouldn't keep being brought back just because he's the safe bet. Mm-hmm. You need to take chances, and you need to give people opportunities. And I think that's the big issue right now, is that we also have become so afraid to criticize someone if they don't make a good movie, if they are a person of color. Mm-hmm. You know, like I'll never forget all the stuff that happened with Wrinkle in Time. That is like an example that sticks out. That is not that good of a movie. And like, there were so many people who were so afraid to speak out about that movie. And Ava, you know, don't mean to sound this, but like, she did this just like The Rock did when they didn't like Baywatch. Mm-hmm. She blocked people because they didn't like her movie. You have to be open to criticism. Mm-hmm. Maybe this was not the right fit for you, but don't do that. So I think you got to give people chances, and you also have to like give them more than one chance, mm-hmm. but also like, don't keep rewarding the same people over and over again, and stop picking people, like just one person or two people that you just go to bat for all the time, and you don't decide to expand. Right. You know, how many movies do we have to have Tiffany Haddish in? Tiffany Haddish is one of probably like 300, 400 African-American actresses mm-hmm. who wants to be in film mm-hmm. and wants to do comedies. Go to someone else. I love Tiffany, but go to someone else. Mm-hmm. Spread the wealth around a little bit. There's a lot of other qualified actresses. Mm-hmm. That's it. Exactly. End of it. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. We'll be back next week with another episode of Film Critics Weekly. Michael, where can they find you? You can find me at Muse TV on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitter, Muse TV1. Okay, awesome. And you can find me over at We Live Entertainment, and go to Instagram and Twitter, The Other Scott M. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.